Rob Schenck here at our Faith and Action Ministry Center on Capitol Hill to say to you how grateful to God we are for you during this holiday season. And indeed, we remind our public officials that there are two holidays that are celebrated during this time of the year. Hanukkah, which means dedication in Hebrew and commemorates the brave warrior Maccabees who, against impossible odds, reclaimed the holy city of Jerusalem against the onslaught of the Syrians. And sometimes, you know, we feel under attack by certain pagan forces here in Washington, and I know you do sometimes where you are. So it's a great memorial of bravery in confidence towards God. And we like to tell the Hanukkah story as an inspiration to God's people to fight for religious freedom, to reclaim what has been lost in this country in terms of our own spiritual heritage. And of course, the other holiday, need I say, is Christmas, as we like to pronounce it here on Capitol Hill, to remind people the true reason for the season. And just this morning, I read the entire Christmas story from Luke chapter 2 inside the U.S. Capitol. So how do you like that? Just don't tell the ACLU. But we had a wonderful time in the U.S. Capitol today. And at Christmas time, always, my heart and mind turns to you, the people I consider to be part of our extended ministry team. Without your friendship, your prayers, your very generous financial support, we could not do what God has called us to do here. We're able to accomplish that because you are so faithfully doing what God has called you to do. We have to do this together. It takes more than me. My wife Cheryl and our family could never have done this without our ministry team. Peggy Nienaber, our chief of program, all of those who work behind the scenes with us, the volunteers who come in, the pastors that help us, and of course all of the churches that are a part of our ministry outreach here on Capitol Hill. And speaking of that, let me just rehearse for you in this sort of video Christmas letter all that has happened this year. Of course, it starts with the only full-scale prayer and preaching service ever held inside the U.S. Capitol complex, and that is our annual conference for the preborn and their mothers and fathers, where we're preaching not just the gospel of life, but the gospel itself. And we're always careful to make sure those auditorium doors in the Congressional Auditorium are open so that the sounds of prayer, preaching, and praise echo out through the halls. And of course, we've got a lot more. We had a reception this year and prayer for all the new members of Congress that arrived. We had our crosswalk and prayer walk during the Passion Week leading up to Easter. The National Bible Reading Marathon, where we read through the entirety of the Bible, Genesis to Revelation, without commentary or interruption, 24 hours a day for 4 days straight, right up to the National Day of Prayer, when we open with the only prayer observance at the United States Supreme Court at daybreak on the National Day of Prayer, followed by the Congressional National Day of Prayer events that we fully participate in. And then we had our Voices from the Womb program at the U.S. Capitol, where for the first time preborn children in the womb testified before members of Congress as sonograms were projected on the large screens, live sonograms with pregnant moms right there. It was wild and wonderful. And then we had our live nativity, of course, at the Supreme Court, when we bring a beautiful montage of actors in costume portraying Mary, Joseph, the baby Jesus, real baby, and the wise men and the shepherd boys. And then we had Junior the camel, star of the show, a little donkey. Now, I like to say it's probably the only time that a camel appears before the Supreme Court, but not a donkey. If you think of that in King James language, you get the joke. But anyway, then we were on Fox and Friends, of course, with our live nativity. They saw what we did here in front of the Supreme Court, wanted us in New York. And Fox News Network is now the largest television audience, video audience on the internet too, around the watch. At Christmas time, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Fox News Christmas Special will feature our live nativity. So you'll see us all there, along with the animals as well. And then, of course, our Easter and Christmas outreach to Congress. We just completed that. When we visit the offices, actually have hand-delivered a special Christ Mass message to all 535 members of Congress. You make this all possible. And at Christmas, when we receive so many kind end-of-year gifts that we need so badly, especially this year, we want to close this year in the black and enter 2012 as strong as we can. So your end-of-year generous gifts are deeply appreciated. They are the best Christmas gifts of all. So with all of that, let me wish you happy Hanukkah and Merry Christ Mass.